Hello guys and welcome to the review of the Sister of Silence card pool. I did a couple of runs in the event. One of them went pretty well and one of them didn't. So let's start to see which cards, in my opinion, are really good and you should pick up if you see them in the shop, or you should be happy of drafting them, and which I do not think are actually that crazy. Starting with the Warlords, the rare Warlord is Amandera Kendall. She has an interesting ability of choosing a Sister of Silence infantry from your deck and drawing it, but also it's a 130, and she starts with an extra card called Greater Destiny, which is actually this card right here. And your Warlord gains +1/+3 and return this card to your deck. It costs 2 more. Um, Honestly, this takes out your first turn, in which you become actually a 2 health warlord, a 233 health warlord, and this returns to your deck, so it's gonna cost more and more as the game progresses. I do not think actually that the cost remains to 4. I did not play with Amandera Kendall yet. I played with Genetia Kroll and Veronica Sulath. So actually it's hard for me to give insight about Greater Destiny, but overall she doesn't seem that bad. She has high initiative, which is very nice, and also drawing Sister of Silence infantry is very nice because they are basically all infantry except for a couple of vehicles which are not even amazing, so that's nice. It's important to note that she can't draw neutral troops, so you can't draw Jubak, for instance, with it, and this is a thing to keep in mind. But overall, yeah, I think that she is very nice. As a red warlord that you can get very easily, she's pretty good. So, let's go with the Epic Warlord first. Veronica Sulath, the Mistress of the Black Fleet. 2 energy, draw a card. If you end with less than 5 cards, connect again. So she can attack or either draw again. I played with her in event. I got 12 wins. It's really strong, and the thing is that generally this faction lacks card draw, and this is Horus ability but better. So already that is pretty amazing. And the fact that the card pool that we will see for Sister of Silence is very good makes this Warlord interesting and surely worth picking up in the shop if you see it. I do think that actually for the mid-range she could be even better than Genetia Kroll, just from the draw perspective, because she um, can actually draw every turn and fill up her hand with good stuff and plays the mid-range very nicely. I don't think she's that good for control, but she can be nice with mid-range and aggro, and maybe combo if we see a combo deck running around. Then we have the girl that the only human at 40 health, uh, Genesia Kroll. She has a Reckoning, and Battle Honor give +2/+1 to a friendly troop. The Battle Honor is incredibly strong, very, very good, and the Reckoning actually isn't that hard to activate. It's called, she becomes the Soulless Queen, and it gets -1 cost at the end of each turn if your opponent controls no troop. So this ticks on your turn and your opponent's turn. It's obviously very strong versus solo warlords, and it can actually be playable pretty quickly in the game, and she becomes this thing right here, which is pretty strong. It gives sentence 2 to the enemy warlord, which is amazing. and also for 1 energy she can do 1 damage to an enemy warlord. Um, yeah, this is pretty strong as a transformation, and yeah, I think that it's very good as a warlord. Is maybe the best of the three. It contends with Veronica Sulath, honestly, in my opinion, because she lacks the raw and starts with one less card because of the reckoning that takes out one of the of her cards. But yeah, this card is very very good, and she can do a ton of stuff and actually make your troops really strong. And also, this is general troop and not Sister of Silence troop, so you can actually buff neutral stuff to absurd level. And I think that against some warlord, the Genetic roll is gonna be a pain. Then we have Cadre Tactics. I like this card a lot. Gives +1/+0 to all of your units until the end of the turn. This card is ridiculously undercosted. It should be cost 2 in my opinion, because for the can cost 4 and gives +2/+0 to your units. And this includes your Warlord, which makes easier for Genetia Crawl to actually attack and kill something for the battle honor. And the more troops you play, and the more this is gonna be effective. And you can deal up to 7 damage for 1 energy, which is obscene. I think that this card is really, really good. Obviously, you need to build your deck around it for it to work like you want it to work. But yeah, I think that it's pretty good, and it's also a common, so everyone can have this pretty cheaply. Novice Sister. 1 energy gives +1/+0 to a friendly unit this turn, 1/3. I do not like this card. The fact that it costs 1 to activate, I do not think it's that good, and also I find pretty pointless to include 1/3 cards that aren't gonna change your gameplay pattern or anything in the deck. So yeah, I do not like Novice Sister. Pale Scourge. Deal 1 damage to all enemies, or 3 if they have Psyker. This card is nice. It's kind of the Ruinstorm card, the Mirror of Hatred. Only this doesn't hit your stuff, and it's actually more powerful versus Psykers. Um, I don't know. It's okay. Not amazing, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Um, I think that though I would actually think twice of including it in my deck, in one of my decks. It's actually a pretty poor control pool. It's very good if you have the transformation of Genetic Roll, because you proc 3 damage for 1 energy, but otherwise I'm not that sure about it. Steel Talon Hawk, very good, interesting card, and also cool design. I think that this will be played as a one of or two of in basically any sister deck. It jams and deals 2 damage to a random enemy troop. Um, it can target things with ward if they have only one troop, such as Bailey. And I think that, yeah, one of in all decks should be enough. I think that it's strong. It's maybe stronger than Sabotage, and also deals 2 damage. Cyber Jackals, Terror, has +2/+0 if enemy troop has Psyker. Well, the fact is that it's an enemy troop and not the enemy warlord, and a 2/3 with Terror is um, pretty underwhelming. It's good if it's buffed, but otherwise I do not see that being played that much. It's not bad, it's not great. I think that some neutral cards are actually more interesting than this, but yeah, mm, it's not bad. I could see some decks maybe with Genesia that can pump them pretty high. I mean, if you kill something with Genesia turn 1 and through and the Cyber Jackals. They are a 4/4 with terror at turn 1, which is really strong. Yeah, also to note, this is an infantry, so get buffed by the Secretary Axiarch. Final Sacrifice. Destroy a friendly Sister of Silence troop and a random enemy troop. This card is very good. It's actually better than the Custodes one, and the fact that it costs 2 make this playable, in my opinion. You can only target Sister of Silence troops, but we will see that there are plenty of good troops, so you will have something with 1 health and you throw this down and kill something. Oath of Silence. Give +3/+0 to a friendly unit this turn. Very good card. Incredibly strong because it can go on your Warlord and chunk for a ton of damage, and if a solo Warlord build comes up, this is gonna be part of it, because it combos really nicely with Order of Terra, and yeah, I think that this card is very good. Steel Foxes. Fast, stun enemies damaged in combat. Very good card again. Deals 2 damage. If a buffed, deals even more and stuns everything that damage. So both when he attacks and when it is attacked. So very nice. Also, unconditional fast is very good. It can be pretty interesting with Training Cage, because it's a 3/3 or a 4/4 for 2 energy with fast is a thing to keep in mind. Winter Crows. Rally, stun an enemy troop with higher attack than this troop. So, I do not actually like this that much, but it's good. It's not bad. I maybe could see one in some decks. I mean, the stun is really helpful sometimes, and the fact that this cannot stun the enemy Warlord and you cannot basically play turn 1, it's a bit of a gamble, but yeah, it's not bad. I mean, a stunner is always useful, and people often do not expect it, so yeah, maybe this will see play as a 1 of or 2 of. Witchfinders. Give flank and +1/+1 to a friendly troop. So, difficult card to evaluate because it combos a lot with some neutral stuff, such as this guy right here, and they can actually make a turn 7 desperate defense like fail, because they can give him flank with drilling sight. It's actually gonna come down and then play desperate defense. Yeah, I think that this card is interesting. I would actually not play, rather not play Sister of Silence in Desperate Defense deck, but yeah. This +1/+1 is negligible, the flank is really what matters here. Again, difficult card to evaluate. Cleansing Flame. 2 damage to an enemy and its adjacent unit. This card is very nice, really strong, good AoE. It's not that it has to target the Warlord or anything, so it's very good card. Nice and clean. Execution Blade. Your Warlord has +1/+0 during your turn, so it's a 3 energy for permanent +1/+1 attack when it's your turn. It's actually very similar to the White Tiger DAO that gives +2/+0 for 5 energy. I would argue that this is stronger because comes down earlier, and actually they have a lot of ways of boosting the Warlord's attack, even more than White Scars for Jagatai Khan. So yeah, I think that Execution Blade will see a good amount of play, and for a good reason. This card is, I would love to have it. It's very powerful. Ice Serpents, very good card again. Gives can't attack to an enemy until your next turn. So It's a nice body that comes with a very strong effect. Can't attack is actually better than stun because it can't be healed by Pi Alpha and the Wonders of Tizca, so this will see play for sure. Very strong card. Prosecutor Mistress. 2/4, 3 energy, rarely deal 1 damage to all enemies. I mean, their 3 drops are amazing. This card is very nice. Compare it to the neutral that everyone basically play, which is laser rifle. This has to ping 1 enemy, and it's a 3/3, and now we have a 2/4 that pings everything. It's way stronger. And they're both infantries, by the way. 4 health in particular makes it really hard to kill, and revenge kill at turn 2 or turn 1. Raven's Claw. I love this card. This card is busted. Gives +1/+0 to your Warlord and sneak attack. This card is honestly very strong, and we'll see a nerf, I think, because you can hit turn 2 for 3 and actually boost this to a 5/4 with the natural roll turn 2. It's very strong, and I think that their 3 drop are so good. Seeker Cadre is another very strong card. I mean, this is no way this is not gonna get played, because they jam a troop every time they damage, and also for 1 energy they deal 2 damage, so they do not have to attack in order to trigger it. And yeah, what's not to like about these cards? They're all good. Uh, 4 3 drops, and they're all amazing. Coup de Grace. Destroy damage enemy troop, draw a card. It's kind of similar to this, but for 1 more energy it draws you a card. I think that this is worse than Ashen Bones. 1 of is okay, 2 is too much. I think it's pretty heavy at 4 energy, and often you have to sacrifice something in order to proc it, and or take a bunch of damage to the face. So yeah, 1 of is all I can see for this card. Euphemia King. Well, maybe 2 of if you are playing at control deck, actually. Euphemia King. Rally, if your opponent has no troops, game fast. Backlash, return to your deck. So, very interesting card. Very strong card. I think that this is weaker than people expect, because your opponent not having troops is not that common actually in a lot of matchups. So if your opponent has troops, this is basically a dead card, because everyone can deal 1 damage to it. The backlash is nice, but also kind of not that important. If you connect once with a 6/1 for 4 energy, I think you're pretty ahead in the game, so it's very difficult to evaluate. I think that this in very fast deck is very good, otherwise not so much. Fanatic Discipline. Give your Sister of Silence troops +2/+0 and sacrifice, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. This card is very strong. I played it a lot in the event, and every time I had like 2 or 3 troops on the board, this won me the game, because +2/+0 to your troops is already big, and the sacrifice is just the cherry on the cake. It's very good. Knight Septura is a strange card. Frontline and deals this damage equal to this troop attack to an enemy troop. It can't target the Warlord, and it's a 3/5 for 4 energy, pretty average with the frontline. It's not bad, it's not great. 1 of, I think, will see play, and but maybe there are better frontline troops. I mean, the 5 energy Mechanicum guy is in my opinion, superior to this because it counters stealth and this does not. But we'll see, we'll see. It's not bad, by the way. It's a good card, balanced. Silver Osprey. This is not balanced. I think that this card will see a nerf because dealing 5 damage to a vehicle for a 4 drop is insane. This card kills a Doombringer outright. Uh, and it's actually a pretty cool body as a 4/3 for 4. It's not bad, and even if it deals 2 damage, is okay. I mean, this card is almost playable in some decks and deals 2 damage, and it's a 4/2, which is much worse than a 4/3. So yeah, this card will play this in every deck I make, basically. Very good control tool. With this vehicle spam that we have nowadays, I think that this is a very good call for the meta. Vratin Armor. Another card that I'm not sure how much will see play. This will see play, I think, only if we have a solo Warlord archetype, because it's really slow and it's not useful against anyone because the Battle Honor doesn't trigger against solo Warlords. Doesn't boost your attack, doesn't boost your health. It's okay, but it's no servo arms by any means, and yeah. Maybe if someone can make a good solo warrior for Amandara Candle, that I think is the most suited for it, maybe this can see some play. White Falcons, 4/4 flank, good. Rarely if there is an enemy with higher attack, gain sneak attack this turn. It's nice. It's a good card. Very balanced, and it's actually never a dead card. It's a 4/4/4/4, which is nice. And if the enemy has something on the board, you can remove it. The rally is just okay. I do not think that you will actually proc it that often. At least I did not proc it. I proc it maybe once in 15 20 games, so yeah, it's not great, but the rally, the card is very good, I think. Captures Psyker, relentless. If you don't control another troop, gain can't attack until your next turn. This card is unfortunately bad because the relentless kills it, and giving can't attack and not stun means that you can't heal it with the Pi Alpha or the Wonders of Tizca. I do think though that if you can jam this, it's a 7/7 for 6, it's okay. But yeah, I do not like this card, honestly. The Rhino. The Lady's Grace is a Rhino that, while in play, makes Chaos Tactics cost 1 more, and for 0 energy you put in play 2 Novice Sisters. Yeah, I do not think that this will see that much of a play. 5 energy for a mega terrible thing is very questionable, and also doesn't do anything when it comes into play. Novice Sisters are also not great. 1/3s. Yeah, this card is weird and very difficult to evaluate, but I guess also Chaos Tactics are not that useful. If this was all tactics and just made unplayable like Desperate Defense and such, this would be much more playable. White Asps. I think people overestimate this card. 6/3 for 5 energy is bad stats because 3 health is too low, and the rally destroy an enemy troop with an higher attack than this troop. But there are not that many troops that get played actually at 7 or more attack. I do not see this card played that much. Maybe one of, but even then it's Why wouldn't you just play this or some damage card and actually take it out? Because this is pretty late in the game also. I mean, it's good against Desperate Defense, but you are against Angron, you take this and basically remove a card from your hand. You play against Perturbable the same, you play against Durak the same, you play against Knights, it does nothing, and yeah, this card I do not get it why people are actually stoked about this. I don't like it. Which Seeker? Also, if you play against Fail at 5 energy, if he drops DD and you play this, you lose anyway, so it doesn't change you the game. Which Seeker? 5/5 for 5 energy, 1 energy, destroy any troop and deal 5 damage to the enemy Warlord. No thanks. 5 energy is pretty high, and destroying friendly troops to deal 5 energy, and it's a 5/5 bear. I do not think that this is very playable. The 5 drops are pretty underwhelming. Um, by I'm, yeah, I really would like like this card, but yeah, uh, I do not think that it's very playable. Abu Naroda. Rally, draw 3 cards for each Sister of Silence troop drawn, heal 2 to your units. So Warlord plus troops, and it's a 3/3 for 6. Of course, pretty bad stats, but drawing 3 cards is basically 3 energy, so it's a 3/3 for 3, and draw 3 cards for 3. And heals. So this card, I think, is pretty good. Will be played in most decks, I think. Um, Especially in aggro decks. Uh, yeah, it can refill your hand. They lack card draw, and they lack also healing, apart from the Vratin armor. So I think that this will see a good amount of play. Iron Links, 3/3 for 6, very bad. Rarely put in play 2 Cyber Jackals, which are 2 threes with terror. I actually like this card because it swarms very nicely, though it's very easy to take all of them out because they are 3 health. But it's not bad. I can see someone maybe playing this. Also, doggos are nice, and so is Pershare Beers. Now this plays 2 Cyber Jackals with +1/+1, so it puts 2 3/4s into play. It's not bad. I mean, we saw this played. Where are This is basically the same thing, but they have frontline, and the fact that they have frontline is actually very good. So, if this would give frontline and +1/+1, it would be more playable. But yeah, as it is, I don't think that anyone would play this card. But I I think doggos are actually not that bad. In event, these cards are pretty good. For sure, Mistress. 5/4 stealth for 6 energy. Sacrifice, put in play 1 captured psyker, which is this guy. I like this card actually. As a one of, I think it's good. Because 5/4 for 6 energy, it's a bit high considering stealth. I mean, the Ruinstorm guy is a 5/4 for 5 stealth, but I think that the sacrifice is very nice because it puts a 7/7 into play, and also this is buffable, and yeah, I think that this card can be very good. The Call. Um, on par with Endurance, I think. Deals 3 damage to all enemies, 5 if they have Psyker, so they kill or outright, or also the other Pen to Dust outright. And also refills 1 for each troop destroyed. So this actually can cost you 4 or 3 energy if they have a large board, and it's amazing. It's very strong against Imperial Fists, and I think that this card will see a good amount of play, maybe 2 of in basically any sister deck. Very good card. I would love to have 2. I have 0, and hopefully it will come to the shop soon. Excruciatus Cadre. Rally removes stealth and precognition for all enemies. From all enemies. As an anti-stealth card, it comes out pretty late, and the body is okay. Removing precognition is nice, but I think that 7 energy is way too much for a 7/7 that does this and nothing else. Frost Wolves. Resolution, give +1/+1 to your Sister of Silence troop in play, is a 5/5 for 7, very bad stats. The resolution is nice. I guess it's a 6 for 7 because it buffs even itself. I do not see that card being played. Honestly, it's kind of slow. 7 energy is a lot, and also the stats are pretty bad. Psychic Anathema. Jam and stun all enemy troops and deal 3 damage to all demons. This card is very difficult to evaluate. I think that board wipe gem and stun is very powerful against certain decks. Though again, the 7 energy is way high. I think that maybe could be played at 6, but 7 is a lot. The game is already lost or won, especially in an aggro deck. I mean, in control, this could be really good. Even with the solo Warlord play, this is gonna be nice. Maybe as a one-off, it's okay. Yeah, I really don't know how to evaluate a Psychic Anathema. Frozen Heart, the worst card of the pool. It does nothing, and it's slow as fuck. The Great Tithe. Destroy all troops in play, deal 3 damage to the enemy warlord for each friendly troop destroyed. So, in a way, it's a mix of Contrador and... the Conqueror and the... behind the enemy lines, but this is stronger, because behind the enemy lines, it's a card that is actually very situational and does nothing if you are behind. This does everything always. If you are ahead, pushes for great damage. If you are behind, this kind of gets you back in the game. Legendary, it being legendary is okay. 2 of this would have been way too strong, I think, so 1 is okay. A good legendary, and it's I think worth picking up. White Tigers. Flank Battle Honor gives 2+2/+0 to your units this turn, and is an 8/6 for 8 energy. It's very strong as a late game finisher, because if they play a troop, you have maybe 2 or 3 troops on the board. Play this, kill the troop, and now they have you have +6/+8 damage, because it also includes your Warlord. And yeah, I think that this card will see play. Also, the body with the flank is already nice for 8 energy, so it's okay. This is another card that no one will play, I think, because 9 energy for a 8/9 slow as fuck that does basically nothing at this point in the game. You already played your stuff. It's not gonna see that much of a play. Raptor Guard made people rage because they think it's too good. I think that 10 energy is honestly way too high for a card to be that crazy. It's a good card. It won't see play in every deck. The rally is nice because it does something even against solo warlords. Flank and terror is okay. 9/7, it's a bit low on the health pool. I mean, the Lernia Hydra costs 2 less and is a 9/8. So this is not crazy, and the fact that it takes your entire turn and you cannot use your hero power or anything really puts down this card for me a bit. I think that in control and in desperate defense build, if there will be a desperate defense build, this is gonna get played. But otherwise, it's way too slow for aggro. Maybe one of in yeah, one of for sure because it's a legendary. But one in some mid-range decks could be played, like Durak plays the Imperial Reaper. This could be played, but yeah, if if you are so far behind, this isn't gonna claw you back in the game. I mean, this against Desperate Defense is way stronger than this. So yeah, overall is a good card. I would advise you though to pick up first Ebon Naroda and Execution Blade, and even maybe the Great Tithe before this. And the Euphemia King, I really don't know how to evaluate. So maybe if I would rank the legendaries, let's see them all together. One first card to get. If you want to play aggro, 2, 3, 4, and 5 maybe. And Genesia obviously isn't going to the shop anytime soon, so it's pointless to talk about her. Last thing we are going to talk about in this section is the counterattack. Give +1/+1 to a troop is very very strong, and it's a crazy counterattack. It's not as good as Raven Guard 1, but it's pretty good, pretty damn good. So let's talk about neutral cards that actually interact nicely with Sisters of Silence. We have quite a few cards. I think that Kaizu Lane can be very good, of course, uh, especially in the solo Warlords build. I could see also played Lord Malkial because it boosts your curve, but I do not see this as being that important because you are actually pretty fast and you have a lot of good plays even at 3 energy, so maybe this isn't going to be that necessary. Neither Scout can be buffed very heavily by Kroll, I think it's called Kroll. So this can maybe be a very good card. It's becomes a 3/4 with sneak attack after the boost, so it's nice. Goldstone Hunter fills the aggro role very nicely, so these are obviously gonna be played. Jubak is of always good. Les Rifle I do not think will be played because they have so many good 3 drops and Les Rifle quite falls short. Um, other cool cards that, well, we have something very cool in Mechanicum. Also maybe big stuff like Lernia Hydra and Ilios Mortar Carrier could be played, but I do not see uh, a nice vehicle build for them. I think that Edict of Censure will be really good because they play very little tactics in the aggro version, so this is gonna be nice. Also, we have one of the guys that actually interacts stronger with the whole faction, which is Secretary Axiarch. This guy, if buffed by something, and it's gonna be a pain to take out, and also buffs your entire board by +1/+0. And this card is very good on his own, and will be even more powerful with all the infantry that the 6-star pack, and I think that there will be 2 of in every deck, at least aggro decks. Then we have Then we have uh, this guy. This guy. Outrage Noble. This guy reduces the cost of your next infantry this turn by 2. So this actually can make you play a 7 drop on turn 4, which is pretty good. And also it's a nice body with a duplicitous effect. And I think that this card will be played also. There are good 4 drops in Sister of Silence, but the only one that I think is mandatory is Silver Osprey, and the rest is uh, questionable. Maybe also Fanatic Disciple. So you could play like 2, 1, and 2 nobles, and it would be pretty okay. I do think that if you are going to play it solo, actually Athame can be pretty nice as Manifest Destiny. Um, you could also play Informant Network for sure, because they lack the anti-stealth. Ekra is gonna be very nice for the 30 HP Warlord and for solo builds. As would be Apotheosis. And Orders of Terra is gonna be very nice. This card is very good on his own, and with Sisters being able to get sneak attack and this, and actually deal 6 damage with sneak attack is very strong. If they have the blade, it's 8 damage out of the gate, and can even be crazier with maybe 2 or 3 instances of Amendera Candle Greater Destiny. So overall, I think that this faction is pretty good. Plays very nicely the aggro game. Um, it can be good at solo warlord. Honestly, um, I do not actually know how to build a solo warlord candle, because I do not think that Genesia is gonna be that good this uh, in this style of play. Um, but yeah, I think that they are pretty flexible and honestly uh, also pretty powerful. For sure, they will see play on ladder, I think, and some of the cards are really interesting and really flexible, and you can actually play them in a lot of ways, and I think that this is a good thing for the game. I also think that a couple of cards are maybe a bit too strong and needs to be tuned a bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think about the Sisters of Silence in the comments. See you guys next time. Have a nice day.